So greetings people of YouTube and welcome back to my channel where in today's video I am going to be doing something a little bit different. In order to hold you all over until I'm done with this review, today we're going to be talking about the Transformers Rise of the Beasts movie. Now this video is going to be a mostly unscripted thing. I only have a little few notes on my phone and all that stuff. And I'm going to try my best to make it kind of snappy because I don't want this review to get a little too long. And on the note about this whole movie review stuff, I actually did want to go review Jurassic World Dominion back when it came out. But that movie was just so disappointing to me to the point where I don't even want to bother reviewing it. Before I start off this review, I think y'all should probably know about my experiences with the past Transformers movies. The first one that I watched was Age of Extinction, but not really the entire movie, just the Dinobot scenes. And then in 2017, I watched The Last Night, and I really didn't enjoy it all that much. But then the next year, I watched Bumblebee, and I really enjoyed that movie. And finally, somewhere around the beginning of this year, I started to watch the first trilogy of the Michael Bay Transformers movies. I thought 07 and ROTF are kind of underwhelming, but I actually had a pretty good time watching Dark of the Moon. So now let's actually talk about the movie I'm going to review, Transformers Rise of the Beasts. What do I think about this new Transformers movie? I gotta say, overall, the movie was pretty solid. And to get into some of the non-spoilery stuff first, gotta say, I think the special effects are amazing. I think this is the best looking Transformers movie. Not only because the special effects look the most realistic out of all of the movies in my opinion, but also because the designs themselves I really liked a lot. Especially for the likes of Optimus Prime, Mirage, and most of the Maximals. The voice acting was amazing as always. I think everyone did a good job in the movie. But I think the standouts for me have got to be Peter Cullen and Pete Davidson. I think those two are my favorite performances and my favorite characters. There were a whole lot more Transformers screen time this time around when compared to the previous Bayformer movies. So I really enjoyed that as well. And whenever we get to the human characters, I think the human characters are pretty well developed, again, compared to some of the past Transformers movies. And not to forget, the action scenes are some of the most fun that I've ever seen in a Transformers movie. And the story itself was pretty basic, but it is slightly different compared to all the previous movies. The US military weren't really involved in anything, just the main character. He wanted to join the US military, but that's not really a relevant part of the plot, at least until the very end. As far as the negatives go, I can't really elaborate much because a lot of the negatives that I have with the movie, are very spoiler heavy, so I don't really want to ruin the movie for anyone. But for now, let me just say that if you grew up with Beast Wars and you really love Beast Wars and you're really expecting this to be a super truthful, super accurate depiction of the Beast Wars on the big screen, you're not gonna have a very good time with the film, I'll tell you. Alright, so that was most of the non-spoiler stuff out of the way. Overall, the movie was good. I'll tell you about my score at the end of the review when I talk about after I talk about the spoilery stuff. Okay, so let me just take a look at my notes over there, and we shall start off with the spoiler section of this review. So if you're looking forward to watch the movie and don't really want to be spoiled about the story and anything, I recommend just clicking off and maybe add this video to your watch later or something like that, whatever, you do you. But if you have watched the movie, or maybe you haven't, but you don't care about the story, you just want to see what other people think about it, then yeah, go ahead and join me. Also, these figures here are going to be reference objects throughout this review, and as well as some pretty decorations in the background while you listen to my beautiful narration, I'm sure. Right, to start off with the plot of the movie. It's, again, pretty simple. The very basic premise is that Unicron is looking for this transwarp key, which would allow him to escape from his dimension or whatever, and he can eat all the planets that he wants. And it just so happens that Earth is a planet that is full of energon. And in order to stop Unicron, the Autobots and the Maximals must unite together in order to defeat him and his servant, which is Scourge, who is actually the main antagonist of the movie. So in the beginning of the movie, there's this whole opening scene with the Maximals and Ape-Link. They wanted to protect the transwarp key from Scourge and Unicron, and Scourge was there. I'll talk more about Scourge later, but he was really cool in that opening scene. The Maximals were pretty cool, but I don't know. That opening scene just didn't click with me as much as it did with other people. Then after that whole opening scene, we are introduced to the main human character, which is Noah Diaz, played by Anthony Ramos. And at first, he was introduced as this very sloppy, kind of messy kind of character, which reminded me a lot of Michael Bay characters. Like Sam Witwicky was kind of introduced that way as well. But he's apparently pretty good with electronics, I think. And I didn't really like him at first. But then not long after, we get this whole scene of his mother not being able to pay the bills for his brother's hospital. And we're also introduced to his brother as well. And this is the point when I was like, this is a human character in a Transformers movie. And he's got a motivation. He's actually got an end goal of what he's trying to achieve throughout the movie. And I thought it was really good, especially because Anthony Ramos' performance was pretty convincing. Then a few minutes later, we're introduced to Elena, who is played by Dominique Fishback. And Elena, I'm not as much into. She kind of came across as a little annoying sometimes, but I see what they're going with her. She wasn't developed as much as Noah, in my opinion. But you know what? Compared to previous human characters from previous Transformers films, I thought she was another major improvement. These characters kind of remind me of Charlie from Bumblebee. She was also a pretty good human character with her own backstory and all that stuff. It's a little sad not seeing her in this movie, because I feel like I would love to see her as the main character for this new reboot franchise or whatever. Also, they could have written that Haley Steinfeld hype train. I mean, come on, Across the Spider-Verse, anyone? So back to Noah. He was not able to pay for his brother's hospital bills, and then he basically just tries to steal a car. And as it turns out, this car is actually Mirage, which is now my favorite Transformer in all of the live-action movies, bar none. I thought Pete Davidson's voice acting was amazing. He was such a funny, such a cool character, and I love his chemistry with Noah. He already liked Noah from the very beginning, but Noah wasn't really into him. But then, as the movie goes on, they all started to know each other more, and yeah, they're buddies now. Also, not to mention, the design is also really cool. Great upgrade to that original G1 design, which is already a pretty awesome design if you ask me. I mean, yeah, they turned him into a Porsche, which is a jazz thing, I know. It would have been cool if we had gotten jazz instead, especially because they killed him off very quickly in that 2007 movie. But yeah, overall, Mirage was great. His chemistry with Noah, just love everything about him. My favorite aspect of this movie, bar none. And also, he was pretty much the only cameo that we didn't see in the trailer. Yes, believe it or not, there are no cameos from any Predacons, any other Maximals, not even a freaking Beast Wars Megatron. Are you kidding me? We'll talk more about that in just a second. I'm trying to focus on the positives here. And so yeah, I thought Mirage was pretty great. The rest of the Autobots are kind of a mixed bag for me. And now I think it's a good time to talk about the characters, because I feel like I'm pretty much done with the story. There's not really much of anything. I do like the conflict that the humans wanted the transwarp key to be destroyed in order so that Unicron can be trapped in this dimension or galaxy or whatever forever. But the Autobots don't really want to do that, especially because the transwarp key is the only way they could get home to Cybertron. That is pretty much the most interesting sort of conflict between the main characters slash the protagonists, in my opinion. Oh yeah, right, the characters. Optimus Prime. He felt like a sort of apology. How do I say this? The Michael Bay Optimus Prime, he was very war-hungry. He was vicious. He killed Megatron unceremoniously after he helped them. And this Optimus Prime kind of had that thing as well. He wanted to kill Scourge so bad. But I feel like that is not only because Scourge is evil and he wanted to appease Unicron or whatever. But I feel like that is also because Scourge almost killed Bumblebee. And that is solidified because after Prime killed Scourge, he took the Autobot logo that was on Bumblebee's forehead, but then Scourge placed it on his shoulder. He ripped the Autobot logo from his shoulder, and he screamed, "This belongs to a friend of mine." And I thought that was pretty cool. Even Elena, I believe, made a point where she sees Optimus Prime as being a big brother who wanted to help out and protect all his Autobots. And That's a pretty cool character trait for Optimus Prime, and one that I would absolutely expect from Optimus Prime. And I mean, come on, the way he killed Scourge was just so cool. And unlike Megatron from Dark of the Moon, Scourge's death was so well deserved. Before I talk about Scourge, let's talk about the rest of the Autobots, such as Bumblebee here, which he was pretty sidelined throughout the whole movie. He kind of died in the beginning and revived at the end. Yeah, I feel like that his death was just as a driving point for Optimus Prime's character, no pun intended. Right, so that was Bumblebee. Now let's talk about the one everyone's been crazy about, RC. This is not her Rise of the Beasts design, this is her Bumblebee design, which is, I think, is just as good as the Rise of the Beasts design, so I have no need for that core class figure because that does not look too great. But yeah, her character, I thought the voice acting was pretty good, but I feel like she needed a little more screen time because every time she's on screen, she was pretty cool, and I would have loved to see more of her. But yeah, definitely a cool character and a huge upgrade over her Revenge of the Fallen version, am I right? What a monster that thing was! I would not want to put a child in that thing. And staying on a positive note here, let's talk about the villains, which includes Battletrap, which is this guy right here, Nightbird, and Scourge. Now, Scourge, I thought, had a pretty awesome design. It's less reminiscent to that of his 86 design and more to that of his Robots in Disguise design, but it absolutely bears no resemblance to any of the other Scourges, in my opinion. You know, Scourge of the Wind Temple, Scourge of the Fire Temple, Scourge of the Water Temple, Scourge of the Lightning Temple, Scourge of the Spirit Temple. I've been playing a little too much Zelda lately, please, you gotta forgive me. But yeah, Scourge, I thought, was a fantastic villain for a Transformers film. There's this whole musical cue whenever Scourge was, or something relating to Scourge was on screen, and I thought that musical cue was incredible. It actually kind of reminded me of Miguel O'Hara's introduction in Across the Spider-Verse. Peter Dinklage did a pretty good job voicing him. I do see a missed opportunity though. Like, see, in the beginning of the film, or near the beginning at least, end of Act 1, I want to say, Scourge was delivering half of the transwarp key to Unicron, and Unicron basically kind of telepathically, Unicron was mad because Scourge had only brought half of the key, and if Scourge did not bring him the rest of the transwarp key, he would kill Scourge along with the rest of his planet. That could turn Scourge into a more sympathetic, more compelling villain, I think. He's not only trying to appease his boss, but he's also trying to survive. He wanted to get the transwarp key so that he himself did not die when Unicron committed genocide. That could have made him an even better villain, in my opinion, but you know what? The Scourge that we've got now, I think, is still pretty cool. Nightbird. She had potential. Nightbird had potential. I love the voice acting. I don't know the person who voiced her, but she was great. But she didn't do that much in the film. I loved her in the final battle, but she was killed really quickly by Bumblebee and kind of Cheetor as well. I really wish they didn't kill her off, because I feel like she has a potential to become an even greater Transformers villain. Yeah, Nightbird could have been even better, but you know what? I enjoyed every time she was on screen. As for Battletrap,
someone give me a real fight.
That's pretty much it. And also, I forgot to mention that this is hands down the most Transformers screen time we have gotten for a Transformers film since forever. I am so glad about this. Like, from Act 2 onward, Transformers, every single scene, not literally every single scene, but most of the scenes had a single Transformer in them at least. And I really like that about this movie. And also, whenever the Transformers are not on screen, we get some decent human character development, and the human characters weren't unlikable. They were good. They were decent human characters. I quite enjoyed them. That's what I love so much about this movie, is that it had so much potential to be something even better. But then if we talk about the Maximals and the whole Beast Wars portion of the movie, is when it kinda starts falling apart. Full transparency here. I've never seen the original Beast Wars. I know I've got the choice, it's just because I love the character designs. And I've seen some clips of the show online, and it looks like a really cool, really fun, really well-made show, but I don't really have time to watch it. I'll watch it if I can, but not really at this point in time. And it's really weird because they should have stuck to one movie here. You want to either make a Beast Wars movie or a non-Beast Wars movie, because if they just made this movie a non-Beast Wars film, just completely replacing the Maximals, and maybe if they could give us the real Terrorcons from G1 as the Terrorcons for this movie, it could have been so much better and it could have been objectively great. But the Maximals kind of drag things down a little bit. Please listen to what I have to say. Okay, first off, Eraser. She was the Maximal with the most screen time, but she did kind of feel like a exposition dumper. You know what, as far as exposition in movies go, this is not the worst. Because the Autobots and the humans have no idea what's going on, we, along with them, learn about this whole Terrorcon and their plan, and Unicron from Eraser. Oh yeah, and I did not talk more about Unicron in the villain section because he kind of felt more like a Thanos type of villain where he was teased in this movie. This feels like a teaser for Unicron for something greater. I'm sure they'll be able to perfect him sometime in the future. It's a little sad that there's no planetary destruction scene like how there was in the 86 movie. That was such an awesome scene. Would have been cool to see that in live action, but I'm sure we'll see that later, not in this movie. But anyways, talking about the Maximals, Eraser was pretty good. I don't know if she's accurate in terms of character to how she was in the original Beast Wars, but her design is pretty cool. We never got a look of her robot mode because, spoiler alert, she died. And her death, I feel like they could have gone the rest of the movie without killing her off. I really don't. I guess they're just killing her off to prove how strong the oath of no matter the cost is. Yeah, I feel like her death was pointless. She could have been developed way more. And then Optimus Primal, of course. He felt kind of bland. Optimus Primal in Beast Wars, I know, was very cheerful, very supporting kind of father figure for all the Maximals. And he was pretty cool. I thought Gary Chalk was amazing as the original Beast Wars Optimus Primal. He was very sweet, very supportive, I should say. And in this movie, yeah, Ron Perlman did a good job voicing him, but he was... Design was cool. I don't have any problems with the designs of a lot of the Maximals. I thought they were pretty good. Just Optimus Primal didn't feel like a character. He felt like Optimus Prime 2.0. That's not what Optimus Primal should be. Yeah, he is named after Optimus Prime, but he's supposed to be a much more cheerful, much more... You know, I think I've said this multiple times before, but yeah, he's supposed to be the fun one. Optimus Prime is very brooding, very serious character. Optimus Primal is fun. We didn't really get that with this Optimus Primal. It's kind of sad. And don't even get me started on Rhinox and Cheetor. They did nothing in this movie. I mean, Cheetor did some action stuff, and he talks a little bit. Rhinox didn't really get that much of screen time either. Less than Cheetor, probably. I could not remember a single line from Rhinox in this movie. And that's so sad. It's sad that these Beast Wars characters are purely for marketing, in my opinion. No importance to the story, like, at all. They could have been replaced by any other Autobots or any factions from the comics or whatever, and the cartoons, of course. I really do feel bad for Beast Wars fans who are hoping to see their favorite childhood heroes in live action, and it's going to be this whole so accurate to Beast Wars and the Golden Disc, Dinobot. No Dinobot in the movie! Which is, I guess, kind of fine, because the more characters you have for the Maximals, the worse it gets, I think. They couldn't even give Cheetor and Rhinox proper screen time amount. Also, no cameos. Again, no Dinobot, no Predacons. The Scorponocks don't even transform, they're not even Scorponocks. They're like Bayverse Scorponocks, not even Beast Wars, not even G1 Scorponocks. They're just like Bayverse Scorponocks again, but why do they have to look like that? This is a reboot. Has nothing to do with Bayverse. Why do they have to look like that? At least keep the green from like the movie mainline figure so that it looks like G1 Scorponok, but no, not even that. These are just full-on Bayverse Scorponocks, and there are a lot of them. Why? Why are there so much of them? I do have a theory that these are instead sand spears, which was the weapon for Scorponok in one of the movie line figures, I think. The more I think about that part of the movie, the more I kind of dislike the movie. Again, it's sad because this movie was so fun. Probably my favorite live-action Transformers film, and it could have been so much better. Oh, and I haven't even talked about the worst character. It's freaking Wheeljack. Why? Why was he another racial stereotype? Why does he have to look like that? And why does he even have to be in the film? He barely committed anything. If anything, I guess he was just a van for RC to hide in, and that's it. I mean, Stratosphere was kind of the same, but Stratosphere did kind of feel more like a plot device to begin with. He was the one who delivered the Autobots from Brooklyn to Peru, and that's fine. He was just a plot device, basically. But Wheeljack wasn't even anything. He was just a Spanish robot, and that's it. Like, I guess if the movie character was separated from the brand of Wheeljack, it would have been better, but come on, this is so much better! Why do you have to ruin Wheeljack like this? You've already done it once, you've done it again! Hasbro, why? Paramount? This movie is not bad, okay? This movie is, fun. It's solid. It's a Transformers film. It's a fine Transformers film. But it could have been something more. If they just stuck to this being a normal Transformers film with Autobots and Decepticons and have a very similar plot with changing the characters around and stuff, and they just made another Beast Wars movie later or something, it could have been great. This movie could have been objectively great. But at the end of it, it's just fun. But really, isn't that all a Transformers film should be? It's fun. And that is enough, I think. So as far as the score goes, I think I'm gonna give this movie a 7 out of 10. But as a Beast Wars movie, I'm giving this a 4 out of 10. Oh snap, I almost forgot. There's this whole scene at the end of the film where, you know, Noah's basically being appraised for because he saved the world and whatnot, and this guy offered him medical bills for his brother, and then he gets recruited into this sort of military. I was like, ooh, what is this gonna be? Is it Sector 7? Is it Nest? Maybe something from the Bayverse or something. But no, G.I. Joe. Wow. Honestly, people have been pretty cool about it. I was expecting people to be outraged a lot more than they actually are. So I guess it's not bad, but I feel like it is just such an obvious cash grab. Not everything needs to be a cinematic universe, Hasbro, Paramount. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see on what fruit this tree will bear. And also a little thing to end this review on. There were a lot of scenes in the trailer that were not in the actual movie. I don't know if they were like scenes that are specifically from the trailers or are they deleted scenes. It's just kind of weird not seeing a lot of the scenes that are in the trailer kind of implemented into the movie. An example would be the RC waving at Elena scene that was not in the movie. Prime saying "let them come" is changed to him saying "let him come" instead, and it was pretty different contextually from what I thought it would be. The saddest one of all is has got to be Scourge's line of
In the end, everything you care for will be consumed.
that line is honestly the line that hooked me on the movie. You know what, it's fine, it's not really a big deal. It's just a bit weird. Not even Avengers Infinity War had this much deleted scene from the trailer. I think overall that would be it. I could have talked about this movie a lot longer if I wanted to. There's so much I want to talk about, the good and the bad. But yeah, those were all only my opinions. If you're a Beast Wars film and you like this movie, then that's fantastic. I'm hoping for this movie to do well at the box office so that they could have sequels and stuff. Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. This is way better than any Bayverse film in my opinion. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed my review. Hope you all enjoyed the movie as well. Please tell me what you think about my review and about the movie itself. Do you agree with my opinion, or do you think I am a biased little piece of... But yeah, so please know this is all just my opinion. Your opinion may differ, and that's totally fine. It's absolutely cool. So yeah, I'm gonna end this review right there. This has gone on for a little too long, a little longer than I expected. So yeah, goodbye everyone, and be sure to stay tuned for my review of this figure. And I'll see you later. Bye-bye!